Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on innate behavior. This is a continuation from our last lesson on types of innate behavior. In our last lesson, we defined the term innate behavior and identified the three types of innate behavior. They are reflex actions, orientational behaviors, and instinctive behaviors. Also, we learned how the central nervous system controls all of these behaviors. Lastly, we looked at how the central nervous system is divided. In today's lesson, we will continue learning about types of innate behaviors. We will look at instincts, and we will learn about the biological clock in animals. I hope you are ready to begin, students. Humans, animals, and plants all have a biological clock, and it notifies the organism when to eat, sleep, and wake up. A biological clock is a way to describe internal regulatory mechanisms that control the various cyclical responses in living things. Both plants and animals go through cycle changes. These changes happen yearly, monthly, and even daily. The changes are genetically programmed in every organism. Since biological clocks are in every organism, biologists think they evolved independently in every organism. Biological clocks are an example of convergent evolution, which is a way to describe unrelated organisms acquiring the same biological trait. As we have learned, changes happen on different rhythms of time. The daily rhythms are called circadian rhythms. They have two main features. The first is that they will persist for a period of about 24 hours in the absence of environmental cues. The second is that they can synchronize to a 24-hour cue, such as the light to dark cycle. This is called entrainment. For our first activity, students, write down some responses that you think are due to your biological clocks.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello, everyone. Most of you probably wrote down eating and sleeping habits. You're right. Biological clocks do affect the time of day we are hungry and the time of day we feel awake or tired. In addition to these responses, biological clocks also affect our core body temperature, brainwave activity, hormone production, cell regeneration, and other biological activities. In mammals, the biological clock is found in the small area of the hypothalamus of the brain. It is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This nucleus sends signals to a gland called the pineal gland, which secretes a hormone called melatonin throughout the body. Melatonin is secreted at night to promote sleepiness in the body. Hormones produce feelings of hunger, sleepiness, or alertness. If we did not have these biological cues to tell us when to eat or sleep, we might expect to have different schedules during the various seasons and environmental temperature changes. Changes in the light to dark ratio of the seasons control reproductive behavior in animals on a yearly basis. These rhythms are called circannual rhythms. As the length of the day changes, so will the level of melatonin secretion. As a result of the change in melatonin, the reproductive behavior in many animals will increase or decrease during specific times of the year. Other animals show circannual rhythms in behaviors such as when birds migrate or when animals hibernate. Also, circannual rhythms are evident when the coat growth or coloring of an animal changes from season to season. Students, can you think of some examples of animals that show circannual rhythms? Take a few moments to write down a few of your ideas.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. You could have listed the following. Swallows migrate during the year. Hedgehogs hibernate. Arctic foxes grow a longer coat for warmth and change the color of their coat to camouflage in the winter. There are many other examples that are correct. Please have your teacher review your answers at the end of this lesson. Next, we are going to learn about instinctive behavior. Instinctive behaviors are pre-programmed patterns of behavior. Unlike a reflex action, they are not a response to a single stimulus. Instincts often involve a complex sequence of actions that the organism is capable of doing without having to think about it. An example of instinctive behavior is a spider weaving a web. The spider has never been taught how to weave a web. Rather, it is born with the ability to carry out this task every time. Instinctive behaviors can be identified by the following. They are common to all members of a species. They are fully functional the first time they are performed. There is a key stimulus that triggers the behavior. There is an innate releasing mechanism that links the stimulus to the response. There is a fixed action pattern in response to the key stimulus that is always the same, and instinctive behaviors are adaptive. Another kind of instinctive behavior that we are going to learn about is imprinting. Imprinting can be defined as the fixed action pattern for a newly born or hatched organism to imprint on, or become attached to, the first thing they see that has general features like the adults of its kind. Basically, imprinting is a simple form of learning in which a very young animal fixes its attention on the first object it sees, hears, or has a physical experience with. The animal then follows the object. In nature, the object is almost always the parent of the species. The young organism learns and imitates what it sees the older organism doing. For example, a duckling imprints and follows its mother. Attachment formation is commonly found in humans. It involves the formation of a strong emotional bond between an infant and its primary caregiver. It consists of 3 stages. Pre-attachment is the first stage that lasts for the first 2 months of life. It is the stage where the infant cannot really discriminate between different people. Indiscriminate attachment lasts for 2 to 7 months. The infant begins to show a preference for familiar people. Finally, true emotional attachment begins after 7 months and continues from there. The infant has a strong bond with the initial caregiver, although other multiple attachments often form soon thereafter. This brings us to the end of our lesson for today. We learned about how the biological clock affects animals, instincts, and imprinting. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.